Welcome to the Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek.
Hi, and welcome to today's episode of the Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek. The Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek delivers a look into the world of manufacturing with a focus on stories and trends to lead you to better solutions. Our guests share tips, outcomes that can help improve your productivity. I'm Dave McKenna from Grantek, and today I'm joined by Grant Daft. Grant is a software application specialist at Videojet, based in the United Kingdom. Videojet's one of the leading code data and printer manufacturing companies in automation. I'm sure you've seen a pile of their code daters on packaging or case labelers or other equipment they have. Grant's been with Videojet since 2004. During almost 20 years of tenure, he's been in leadership roles focused on solution support, software application development, and product management. Since 1960s, Videojet's been around in developing, manufacturing high-quality product identification equipment for coding and marking. So continuous inkjet printers, laser marking, case coding, print and apply, thermal inkjet, and code assurance software. Videojet products and services allow customers to apply variable data, best by date, production date, lot number, operator information, as well as 2D barcodes and 1D barcodes, and for virtually any kind of packaging, shipping container, or pallets. So see a bit out there, pharmaceuticals. I've seen a lot of it in food and bev, industrial companies. It's one of the big players in marking and labeling and identification. So, Grant, just before we kind of get into Industry 4.0 in the industry and trends and anything like that, how did you get into this business and where'd you start? Why are you still here? What's kind of your career story?
I started. Thanks, Dave. Pleased to be here. I started in the industry in the early 90s, predecessor to Videojet, and it was another coding and marking company. I got excited about the technology, really, not just the technology, but the application of putting variable information onto products, because you see everything. I mean, honestly, I've seen applications you wouldn't believe, from fish farming in the North Sea, from the Norwegians to bottling beer in South Africa. It's a great industry, lots of applications, and it also is an industry that embraces technology. So as technology moves, we will find a way to use that technology to help the customer to mark his product.
And it's one of those things I think everyone takes for granted. I mean, people don't, the end customer, even a lot of engineering people don't realize that somebody's got to print that code date on there. You need to make sure it's right. You need to make sure it rolls when the day rolls. You need to make sure you're doing it at speed on your 1300 a minute canning line or whatever line you've got, with print quality over time, right? So there's a lot to it. Sounds
that's absolutely true. Unfortunately, many customers look at it as a necessary evil. They have to date code it. They have to put traceability onto it, and the printers that are doing that are often at the end of the line, the last thing that goes out the door. And therefore, it's critical to the line. That printer stops working and the line stops running.
Sure. Oh, perfect. And do you have anything before we kind of get into questions? Do you have anything to mention? Any new upcoming events or information for any of our listeners?
Yeah, I guess we've got a new product which is launching. It's a evolution of some software that we have had for some time, but taking advantage of some of the more modern tools there are. The issue with coding and marking printers is somebody has to type in the date, and there's a chance for human error at that point of touching the printer. So what we're trying to do is, what we're doing is to join the printer up with the information that is correct, so that we call it the source of truth. Typically, the customer will know that he's running product A, and that product has a shelf life of X number of days. So all we need to do is to take that information about the number of days, add it to today, and send it to the printer without anybody being involved. So that we've extended our offering in that software application, that software portfolio, to join the printer up to the source of truth, whether that's the ERP system, the MES system, or a simple database.
Great. And I know that's applications that we've been able to do that as well, that integrate printers with scanners and with the conveyor and with the filler and with other equipment. It's a lot better story for a customer. It's a lot better story for that operator who's going to actually run that line if all this equipment can talk to each other and it knows what that date's supposed to be, and you're not getting the year wrong because it's around New Year's and so on and so forth. So
exactly, or mistyping February, for January.
Yep.
It's short shelf life, and that creates a lot of scrap.
Yeah, no, I mean, to your point earlier, it's viewed as a necessary evil, but you're not. When you make the product, you have to make the product and make the product labeled the correct way, or it's a reject or a recall, or it's no good. It's not just make your product and pack it. You have to label it. You have to put that code date that's required. And we're hearing more and more from customers with manufacturing customers we deal with, where their end customers, large grocery companies, online retailers, so forth, are requiring new additional labeling, additional barcodes on more sides of the package. So this is a growing, almost still kind of a requirement for your customers, but it's a way to differentiate yourself in the marketplace if your other manufacturing companies can't meet labeling requirements that the customers kind of need. So
yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And also, they have the individualization of the product as well, which is attractive to customers to reach the end consumer and engage with them, whether that be social media or some other way to create some engagement around that product by putting a unique code on it, or having some kind of prize for picking out the right product. Absolutely.
And are those being printed in line, or is that being done more at the, so you talk about unique information, and let's say not from a traceability standpoint, because from a traceability standpoint, you have to do it on the line because you need to know what batch you are, or what lot number, or what filler you came off, or what packaging line you came off of. But some of this other engagement stuff, social media, is that done in line, or is that done sort of at the package vendor, which I guess they still need to print it? What do you see there?
We see, so we don't get too involved with the printing of the packaging artwork. That you're right, a QR code that takes you to a website that says special offer or something. That's not really something that we do, but we do a lot of inline coding of unique codes. We have an application for a company that makes the cans for drinks, for soft drinks. Huge company. They have 4 of our lasers printing individual codes onto the tear off strip that you lift up from the can. So the idea is you can't see it till you physically open the can, and then underneath there's like an 8-digit number that is unique to that can. And laser, of course, is a very fast way to mark a product, and they are doing millions of these ring pulls per day on this system that has 4 lasers integrated to it, and each of those ring pulls has a unique code which is fed to the lasers at the time of production. Extreme, but that's something we're getting into. And you touched on traceability. Tobacco, some markets, tobacco products have to be individually marked, either for counterfeit reasons or for tax reasons, and that's another big application for our printing technologies.
Serialization of everything coming soon to you. So we can track back that single chocolate bar that I see it coming. The trend is certainly moving that way towards more and more traceability, more and more products being serialized, which drives labeling, or marketing labeling, which drives a whole pile of software that's going to go on the back end of that too.
Yeah, and I'm keeping my eye on what do they call them? Dynamic 2D codes. That's something that I think will will come soon. The ability to scan a code that takes you to an endpoint that is variable. That's something I think we need to watch, because that again could have repercussions like data matrix QR codes did on packaging.
Interesting. So what kind of across the industry, what kind of problems are you, in general, are you guys solving? Where does Videojet help? What troubles are customers facing with it?
Specifically about with Industry 4.0?
Yeah, Industry 4.0. Yeah, sorry, with an Industry 4.0 slant.
Yeah, I think for us, it's about insights and predictability. So, I've mentioned our software that takes the source of truth and feeds it to the printer. But as we've discussed, the printers are a necessary evil. If they stop the line typically. So anything that helps the customer to predict when the printer may require attention, either that could be just replace the ink, or it could be preventative maintenance like changing filters. So, with the advent of edge devices and IoT, we can fetch information back to the printer back from the printer about its health, which enables the customer to use, or us to use, the data to give the customer information about predictive maintenance or health of the printer. And that wouldn't be possible without IoT, edge devices, and access to the cloud.
So you're connecting some of your printers up to the cloud, and then you can send maintenance notifications or warnings. Hey, this roller is kind of hitting its life and time to replace that, or this engine needs servicing in another 1,000 impressions.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's predictive maintenance alerts, but also reactive alerts as well, because the filler on line 9, which is in the second plant that nobody visits very much, that printer may have developed a fault. So if you can let the maintenance guy or the operator supervisor know that printer's got a fault by sending them a text message or an email or something, then they can react quicker to downtime.
Do you see challenges or pushback from companies on connecting up the devices on, hey, we don't, or IT either doesn't want to connect to the printers, or we've got enough stuff that's plugged into the network right now. Do we really need you guys? Or fine, you're on the network, but you really need to get up to the cloud, and how firewall, and or if I was that, well, I'll let you answer that, and then I got one more kind of way they challenge you. But do you see challenge and pushback from them? And
absolutely.
Yeah.
They there's data which they're protective over, and there's also access to the internet from the plant equipment, which is always a security concern. But we've had pushback, but we have ways around it, and we haven't yet had a customer who's not allowed us to put that connection in, because they see the value. They see the value of the analytics and the insights to their productivity. And we've had to move a little bit, and some customers, they prohibit the factory network from being connected to the outside world. So we've developed a cellular solution that addresses that, and we have our own network within that cellular connection that doesn't go anywhere near the customer's internal network. We still have the question over the data, but again, that's something that we can demonstrate is secure, and it's not it's not IP, it's not customer or product related information. It's about the printer health.
Right.
Not what it's printing onto.
I mean, I kind of feel for manufacturers a little bit at this point, because it's a wonderful, beautiful world of IIoT, but then every single vendor is like, okay, well, I need to plug my thing into the internet, and I need to plug my thing into the internet, and I need to plug my thing in. And now they've got 100 channels that are going out online, and some of those companies are big and you can trust that they're taking security seriously and so on and so forth. But at the same time, now you've punched a million holes in your firewall, and there's just so many connections. So kind of get it, but at the same time, the value you have, I guess, if you can, you have to demonstrate the value of it, right? Are you gonna give them greater uptime on their printers from this, which leads to greater uptime on their lines, because it's a critical part of manufacturing, then it's kind of worth it. But certainly, more complexity in the plant networks ever with all this growing. Are you guys using? So you talked predictive maintenance, and are you using AI in any of this way, shape, or form? And where's the how is that integrated into this, or integrated into your printing?
We're watching that space carefully with a lot of interest, because I do see that as being one of the tools that customers can use in the future. I think, AI has it's a solution. It is solving a lot of problems, or it's at least giving us a better tool. It's like the whole Industry 4.0 thing. It's a set of tools, and it's a set of either protocols or technology that's giving us better ability to do the stuff we do better. So I think AI has an application in analyzing data. We're currently not using it actively. There's a lot of reasons around that. I think there's some concerns over intellectual property, getting data out there to these tools, and like large language models, that it's that security concern that you were talking about before as well. So I think we're definitely looking at it, and we're definitely looking to use it as a tool to analyze the data. But currently, no, I don't think the industry is ready for it to be rolled out in the manufacturing industry, for some of the concerns that you've already mentioned.
Mm-hmm. And I know there's so much excitement. It's kind of refreshing to hear, I guess, some of this, because you hear a lot of excitement about it, and people are rushing to pick this, and it is a useful tool, and it's a valuable tool, and it's going to open up some new possibilities. And we've seen this in machine vision and inspection systems. But at the same time, there's a place for it, and there's not a place for it. And it is nice to hear that someone's not just 100% on the bandwagon and looking to jam it in everywhere, even if it's not a fit, or you publish, or the privacy security concerns. Certainly a big one. Where do you kind of see, I guess, where's Videojet going? What's on the roadmap? Where's the new? We talked about AI potentially as a next step. Where's the growth development? What sort of changes are you forecasting and seeing?
I think using some of these tools to better meet the needs of customers. We've seen a lot of developments in edge devices, in IIoT, in cloud computing and models, and with the advent of AI. But the information the customers need is, okay, how can I do more with what I've got? I don't want to capital invest. The economy is a bit up and down at the minute, so I don't want to invest in a lot of money in new equipment, but I have got a need to do things more efficiently, whether that's quicker, lower cost, less people, whichever way you look at it. It's about getting the information that helps me to make those decisions and streamline my manufacturing line to get better efficiency.
And do you see that does that mean replacing a printer? Do I have to go with, and I guess this is another Industry 4.0 question. So do I have to go buy all brand new printers to leverage any of these new predictive maintenance, or to get data out of my equipment, or to integrate better with my equipment, or can I just upgrade modules? Like what's the state in general of printing and marking? Is it kind of, you got to rip it out to do anything new, or are there bolt-on things for some of the older equipment?
For us, I mean, why penalize the customer because he didn't buy the latest printer? We try to make it as compatible with older models as possible, because many customers will be replacing equipment every 4 years. That's their standard. But we have other customers that are still they're still using technology from maybe 10 years ago. So we try where possible to support our older models of print, and that's certainly true of the software that connects the source of truth with the printer. Mm-hmm. On the analytics side, it's a little bit more challenging because obviously those older printers don't necessarily have the same sensors and the same information they're collecting on a sort of minute by minute basis. So the functionality is a little bit limited on the older printers, and there may be a reason for a customer to adopt newer technology to get some of those features and get some of those measurements that will help him to be more predictable that he doesn't have on the older printer. So we try to support them within the capabilities of the equipment.
Okay. And that's not so. Most are around a 4-year kind of turn. Is that typical?
It's typical for a fast-moving consumer goods type environment. Food, packaging. There'll often be a 4 or 5 year period whereby the equipment is replaced.
From a modernizing factory software, that's a dream come true, because I get like the number of 15 or 10-year-old panels or 20-year-old electrical panels. Now this is more custom stuff, so it's downtime and it's custom equipment, it's custom things in a plant running custom conveyors or process or whatever packaging. That's pretty good, I think, and that's easier to work with than in some than others for sure.
Yeah, so that's something we try to avoid is the custom solutions. We try to make a standard product and customize it for as few people as possible. If our core product does most of the features that a customer needs, then that's good enough for us. It's difficult to sustain a custom solution.
Okay. What's kind of a surprising industry? You talked about core solution, but is there any sort of off the wall printing applications or marking that you've had, and what's something that's the weirdest thing you've done?
There was one. This was before Videojet. This was in a previous life, but yeah, we had a scientific study that was they were analyzing penguins, and they wanted to try to trace these penguins in and out of their nests or feeding areas and things like that. So we got asked if it was possible to barcode a penguin.
Barcode a penguin.
Right, yeah. Barcode a penguin.
Not with a laser, I hope. You weren't laser marking the penguins.
Yeah.
I might have got you in trouble for that one.
Right. Yeah, I don't know who pulled the plug on that idea, but no. So the idea wasn't so mad actually. They wanted to put a removable self-adhesive label on the penguin for a period and track it using a scanner. But no, that one didn't go off the ground, unfortunately.
It was print and apply with penguins.
Print and apply.
Like slap a label on the penguin. How would you line them up? This is like an hour of discussion, right? So and how far did it get? Did it get into like the whole penguin machine was built, and then you queue them up? And
no, it petered out during the feasibility studies stage.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I'm just glad they didn't go with laser marking the penguins. I didn't hear all these penguins lining up to be zapped and scream. And oh man, that would be horrible. Yeah. I mean, inkjet, you could inkjet them, I guess, because I've seen they probably wouldn't stay close enough to the interesting. The Internet of Penguins. Well, I guess RFID kind of RFID are those tags and
tag. I mean, technology's moved on. At that time, this was when was this? This would have been sort of late 90s, maybe.
Yeah.
It's tags and tracking devices and things were in their infancy then, and too big to put on a penguin. But nowadays, I think it's done with an embedded chip that would be much easier to do with RFID.
Interesting. The Internet of Penguins. Perfect. Just kind of closing, we'll ask a question from a previous guest. How can Industry 4.0 technologies be leveraged to not only enhance operational efficiency and productivity, but also promote sustainability and minimize environmental impact What are the most effective strategies and best practices for achieving this dual objective?
Excellent question. And sustainability, environmental impact, it's on everybody's mind at the moment. And I think companies they talk about it. They kind of, they're trying to do their best in measuring and trying to achieve that minimum impact until it comes to write the check. Then, the cost of that reaching those sustainable goals can be quite expensive. So I think any tools that will help customers to analyze what they're doing, to give them data. I mean, and this may be an application for AI that we might see. Here's a bunch of data. How can I reduce my footprint, or how can I be more sustainable? And I think AI can potentially give us that kind of analysis. As far as sensors and things like that, I'm not too sure if that's so easy. I think it would be better to take the data to use what data we have and use AI to analyze it.
Just a side question on sustainability. Is anyone making noise about labels? Because labels are plastic and you're not recycling. Is that starting? The world needs labels, and man, there's labels on everything, your FedEx package and all that. Has there been any noise on that? Is there anything coming up about that?
I'm surprised there hasn't been as well. In the early days, I was product manager for labeling equipment, and this was we were looking at linerless labels, and that was the fad at the time. Not needing that silicon coated backing paper for the labels. We put a lot of effort into it, but it really didn't take off. And that there wasn't that push from the market to do it. I think we're probably now reaching, the next stage in that sustainability journey, that people are going to look at, well, you've printed a label, and okay, it's made out of paper, the adhesive is water soluble, so when it goes onto a box, the whole thing can be recycled. That's fine. But the liner that you've used to print that is made from paper, but it's got silicon impregnated into it, and that can't be recycled, so that goes in the bin, and you've effectively got a product that's at least as long as how many labels you're printing, which is not sustainable. So although I'm not hearing too much about that presently, I do think that it will be something that will become more important in the future.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, all the pieces in the background on, some stuff gets lots of visibility with the public and government, and I'm in Canada, and we don't have plastic straws anymore, and certain things get crazily vilified, and then there's all the other stuff that keeps society rolling and makes things run smooth that nobody talks about, and that all seems okay. That doesn't get any attention. That there's these liners, or that there's other plastics everywhere. But yeah, interesting. A lot of work, I guess, over time to try to chip away at that and reduce that. Well, thank you very much, Grant. Really appreciated your time. Really interesting to hear about your career a little bit, to hear Videojet, where they're kind of going, and thank you for being on the podcast.
No problem. You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone listening. Would love to hear from you. Please follow Grantek on LinkedIn to stay up to date with everything we're doing. Subscribe to the Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek, wherever you get your podcasts. And please email us any questions, feedback, or thoughts to info@grantek.com. And see you next time on the Industry 4.0 podcast with Grantek. Thank you.